Well, hello from Australia and down under. My name is Paul Schimmel and I've been asked to say a brief word about a paper that will appear in the International Journal with the title Freud's Selected Fact, His Journey of Mourning. This paper has its beginnings in a book I wrote on Freud, published in 2014 by Routledge, and the title of that book was Sigmund Freud's Discovery of Psychoanalysis, Conquistador and Thinker. The book was really an attempt to explore links between Freud's personal emotional journey and the development of his thinking and his theory. And one of the links that I consider in the book and develop further in this paper is, I believe, an important one between Freud's personal experiences of mourning and the growth of his thinking. And I think this is an integrative process which can be traced through Freud's life, at least up until 1915 when he wrote Mourning and Melancholia. So in the paper, I consider two important periods in Freud's life which included significant experiences of mourning. The first of these is the period from 1895 to 1900, the period during which Freud abandoned his project for scientific psychology. He embarked on his self-analysis and he wrote The Interpretation of Dreams. And of course it was during this period that his father died. And the second period I consider is that immediately following the outbreak of World War I in 1914 and early 1915, a period that seemed to precipitate the actual writing of Mourning and Melancholia. So, having considered the links between these two periods and the development and shifts in Freud's theory, I go on to address specifically the paper Mourning and Melancholia. And I suggest that this paper stands alone in Freud's work for two important reasons. The first of these is, as has been identified by Thomas Ogden and others, because Mourning and Melancholia contains the origin of our contemporary object relations thinking. In my paper, I consider in particular the metapsychological developments and shifts that are apparent in Mourning and Melancholia from Freud's previous metapsychology. And I suggest that these constitute quite a radical shift at this point in Freud's thinking. The second reason that I suggest Mourning and Melancholia stands alone is because I think Freud is also able to achieve a level of integration in this paper between his clinical thinking and theory and his metapsychological formulations, which he had not been able to achieve previously. George Klein has, I think, correctly pointed out that there is great difficulty in reconciling and integrating Freud's clinical theory with aspects of his metapsychological theory. Nevertheless, I think Mourning and Melancholia stands as something of a challenge to Klein's contention that Freud was never able to achieve any real and satisfactory integration between these two sort of branches of his theory. I think because of the nature of the new metapsychological formulations in Mourning and Melancholia, Freud is in fact able to make considerable progress in this direction towards integration of clinical thinking and metapsychological formulation. So that's probably enough to give you an idea of what's in the paper, and should you decide to read it, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.